Hi guys, welcome back to the Star Wars figure review. My review next up today is going to be one of the exclusives, which is mainly a Target exclusive that this figure has. And it's sort of another one of those commemorative figures that we have as part of 50 years of Lucasfilm. And the figure in question is one of the big fan favourites, and that is Boba Fett in his appearance from the Droids TV series. Now, before we start looking at this figure properly, we will take a look at the packaging that this one comes in. Now, this time it's very special commemorative packaging that we do have in regards to this in the vintage collection, regarding 50 years of Lucasfilm and packaged in the same style from the Droids series. This was mainly a standalone series from the 1980s that took place many years before A New Hope, and it was 3PO and R2 on crazy adventures outside of there, and Boba Fett did appear in the show in a few episodes there. So we do get this brand new figure of him. The figure is sort of based off his appearance in the holiday special from the animated scene there, but it is tweaked a little bit. There are some subtle differences between the two figures there. And of course we do have our 50th Lucasfilm logo there, honouring 50 years of the company, and the nice little droids, the adventures of C-3PO and R2-D2 on there. And on the back we do have the other figures available in the wave, those being Boba Fett, R2 and C-3PO. Boba Fett was always the harder one to find compared to the other two. The droids R2 and C-3PO are still quite easy to find in the shops. I've seen them both in Forbidden Planet, so I'll possibly look at some point in picking those two up just so I can have a full set. And of course there are bios for all three of them available on there, so if you do want to just pause the video and then you can have a quick read of what each of them say. And then of course under that we do get the timeline, so you got Lucasfilm's Inception, the original trilogy, prequel trilogy, sequel trilogy, different TV shows we've had, Legends, and then of course this time they've kept on Star Wars Clone Wars, because there is some of that in the vintage collection recently, and this time they've added droids to the mix. I'm unsure whether they're going to add an Ewoks wave to this, but I'm not sure that's going to fare too well. I have watched some of both of these shows, Droids and Ewoks. Droids was the more one I was willing to get into when it came in regards to the show. There's one other little thing that comes with the figure, and that is a commemorative coin. So this time it is shown there in a Boba Fett pose. I'll put it on sideways there. There we go. You can hardly see that. I'm getting a bit of reflection from the sun, but it is sort of there. You get the Boba Fett marker there with the Slave One, the sail barge, should I say, in the background there, and on the back you have the 50 years of Lucasfilm logo there. So it's a good new thing to see some of these back in the figures again, because I remember back at the 30th anniversary collection back in 2007, every figure came with a collector's coin until the 2008 wave. As you can see, it's very much reflecting around. You can see it reflecting off my TV in the background there. But yeah, every figure in that line came with a coin, and you could sort of build up a coin album that you could get there. Because the first figure in the wave was a Darth Vader, and that came with a coin album. And then you could stick every figure, every time you got the figures, you could get the coin, stick that in the album, and then grow the collection as it went on. Now, I have a handful of them, but they're lying around somewhere in this room at the minute, so I can't really have them to show on screen. But now that's all out of the way with, we'll get to the figure of Boba Fett from Droids, and I love this figure so much. Of course, his appearance is similar to that of his appearance in the holiday special. Of course, this is a Droids-based one, so there are some subtle differences, and the holiday special Boba Fett was indeed released as a figure back in 2007. I do actually have it, but I've lost parts from it, so because I was a kid playing around with it at the time, so I have actually lost parts from it, which is a shame, because otherwise it would be on my Boba Fett dedicated shelf that I actually have. But there's one thing I do want to note about this figure, is that it is basically just a repaint of the Return of the Jedi Boba Fett that was released in 2021. So there's nothing, any basically articulation similarities with this figure are exactly the same as this one. Basically, the whole sculpt and everything is the same. I know I haven't reviewed this one on the channel yet, but that's probably one I could get to in a future video. So that's something, if anyone's wondering about articulation of it, is I've basically reused it, and it works in the Boba Fett front, because when I got that Return of the Jedi one, I actually thought this is really well sculpted, and I could see this on other. I hope they use this for future Boba figures, and indeed they have. They've used it for this time around. No, there's a Black Series one of these coming out soon, but sadly they went for the Empire Strikes Back style sculpt for it, and not the Return of the Jedi style one. So fortunately that one's going to be an old sculpt, but this time around we have the new one, and I love it on this figure. Like the sheer detail of making this animated figure character look real, and that's what this has done. Like, looking down the full part, the different colouring schemes, you get the sort of turquoisey scheme that we have for the helmet and armour gauntlets there, and sort of the yellowy scheme that we have there, as well as on the jetpack and the brown cape, which is another part of the example, because you see all the little holes that are in the cape. Like, you have the other Boba Fett There's all the holes are in the exact same spot on the green one, as you can see there. It's all sort of the same old there. So you do get, as I said, same figure. It does kind of work, but I think maybe they could have made this just a fully round sealed cape. Of course, the jetpack is removable from the back of the character, but it is designed as well, so you know it's definitely for this one. So on the back, you do get this sort of grey armour look to him, with the rest of the armour there. And then further down, we do get the rest of the body part that we know from there. I think the one little complaint about the whole thing being a reuse, though, is that it's not fully accurate to the on screen, because as you can see on the card back, there is actually the belt is very different, because this time he has like a standard straight belt, whereas on this one you have the sort of side one with a holster on, and that's sort of more to what the Empire Strikes Back scale sculpted Boba Fett has in regards to the Return of the Jedi one. So that was I think it was a little shame that that stayed the same as the Episode 6 Boba, but other than that, there's not too much different really complaint to make about. So it's definitely worth having this figure if you can get your hands on him. At the time of filming this review, sadly he is currently out of stock at Star Action Figures. I'd spent a while trying to get my hands on this one, but it was I was finding him at ridiculous prices to try and get. But eventually I managed to get him from a seller called Collector's Den UK. Usually on retail these things are about 20 quid, or are supposed to be about 19.99. I got this one for about 24.99 off Collector's Den via eBay, but that was with free postage, so I can assume the postage went in through that as well. So that's the unfortunate bit there, but I think this one is very much worth having, especially when you got the little coin with it as well. Like if you want to be collecting the coins, they're definitely a reason to have these figures when it comes to it, and that's what this one is. I mean, we do also get everything else that you kind of want for it. It does go well on shelves. Of course, I haven't gone through the blaster that he does come with. It is, this, again, the same blaster as his Return of the Jedi one, and likely ones we'll be getting in Book of Boba Fett's versions of the character as well. So you can tell that he had spares after, because of course Luke does slice one of these in half in Return of the Jedi, so he does have clearly have spares on him ready for usage in the future. Because of course he basically arrives on Tython with one in The Mandalorian. So it's more than likely he got one out of the Slave one and just used that instead. So yeah, we do get, like, just go through the other little details figures. Of course, the blaster vest and the armor there, the body armor is actually like a separate thing, because the shoulder pads actually move up, and it does actually feel like it is a separate part to the figure as well. So that's all some good parts. And something else to note is that they've also gone with what they've done with the Black Series figures, and there is actually an unpainted head underneath. This one's a sort of a pale blue turquoise head to go with the rest of the helmet, and that sort of does help the figure show what it used to be. But every other part, like even the Boba Fett from Return of the Jedi, has this feature as well, except that's with, as you can see underneath. I'll just move the arms there. As you can see, it has it there as well, but it's an unpainted green head. So it's sort of it's a common trait I think they've started to do with the Black Series figures. I mean the Vintage Collection figures in regards to it. So yeah, this is a really good Droids figure. It's good to see. It's also good to see Droids getting its own little figure line at the minute. And as you see there with the packaging, really suits out well. The pose on there is really good, and even C-3PO has his own little cameo in the corner there. So yeah, I'd say if you haven't watched Droids before, check it out. It's on Disney Plus, so available to watch there. And I've been watching it, and I think it's great. It's honestly one of those great little animated shows from the 80s that Disney Plus just has available now. It wasn't available on launch initially, but I think last year they added the whole Star Wars Vintage part, and they included Droids, Ewoks, the Boba Fett cartoon from the holiday special, and the Ewok movies, and of course the Clone Wars micro series. So that's all been added on there. But this is Boba Fett in his armor. I've been considering getting another one of these just to repaint as a new holiday special Boba Fett, but I'm very much on the debate for that, just considering the amount of these that this figure is really hard to come by. Has been really hard to come by, and I was lucky to get my hands on him. But I've been thinking of doing this either one of these or getting a Black Series scale one and doing the same with that. But we'll just have to wait and see. If I change my mind, eventually get my hands on another one, I'll probably do it, and then just show it off in a future collection update or something like that. But this is what I have for now, and I really, really enjoy it. So I'd say if you do get your hands on it, do get your hands. Haven't done the articulation though at the minute, so I'll just quickly run down that as well. You get the ball jointed neck, ball hinged shoulders. You get these sort of swivel, ball hinged elbows, but you do also get the swivel part there at his arm there, as well as the swivel forearms. Ball jointed torso, ball hinged hips, swivel thighs, ball hinge knees, and the ball joint rocker at the ankle as well. So it's all just the super hyper articulation that vintage collection figures have these days. And as it is kind of a brand new sculpt for the figures, it really is worth having. Especially and even as a Boba Fett fan, you'd want it in your collection. Boba Fett, droids, anything like that. This is just worth having in the collection. So I will leave a link to Star Action Figures, where this is, as I said, it is still out of stock, but there's always a chance they could get some more in. Because I did recall them saying once way back that they would have some in soon, but even since then they've not really announced it. So they've not really added them to the site since. So I'm just sort of I'll leave it there anyway, just in case. So I'd say don't say never, but yeah, there's always a chance there could be some up there. So I'll leave a link down there to where you can see it. But that is the Boba Fett from the Droids cartoon. I hope you enjoyed looking at him, and I'll be back with some more reviews very soon. So do drop a like on this video, enjoyed it, leave a comment, subscribe to hear the next one, and my Facebook, Twitter and Instagram links will all be down there in the description, and I'll see you next time.